Welcome back to the deep dive. So, if you've been really focused on getting the perfect color palette, the fastest loading speed, or maybe the most intuitive navigation for your website, that's all
Yes,
great stuff.
it is. It's important stuff.
But today, we're moving past the aesthetics. We're going to hit the core of what actually, captures attention and builds real trust. We're talking about the words you use.
That's exactly right. We're diving into a really fascinating stack of sources today, all focused on crafting your digital voice. And the key takeaway, I mean, the central idea that ties all this material together is just so perfectly put right at the start.
What is it?
Design catches the eye, but words capture the heart.
Oh, I love that. I love that framing because it immediately centers us on connection, not just, code or pixels.
Exactly.
So the mission you've set for us today
Okay.
is, it's a big one. We need to take this whole body of knowledge covering content creation, structure, AI tools, and the mechanics of SEO and basically synthesize it.
Yeah, boil it down into a clear, actionable blueprint.
We are giving you the shortcut, the way to write so clearly and persuasively that Google ends up loving your site just as much as your readers do.
Precisely. And for so many people, content creation and SEO, they feel like these two really dense, separate topics. They're sort of guarded by all this jargon.
Right, it's intimidating.
It is. So our goal today is to break down that barrier. We're going to translate all this material into everyday language, making these complex strategies feel immediate and applicable. We're going to unpack the three essential roles of stellar content, define the blueprint for web copy.
And the AI part too, how to use it as a coach.
Absolutely. We'll show you how to leverage AI as a writing coach. And then finally, we're going to demystify the core keys to SEO so you know exactly what structure and language the algorithms are actually looking for.
It sounds like we're building a digital megaphone that doesn't just shout, but actually resonates with people. So let's jump right in. Let's start at the very foundation of this. Why do the words we choose actually matter so much? What is the core job of web content?
Okay, so we have to start with this foundational analogy that the source material presents. It's really good. A website without content is like a beautiful house without any doors or furniture.
Huh. Okay. I can picture that.
Design creates that curb appeal. It invites the click, that's the eye-catching part. But the content is what confirms to the visitor that they've arrived in the right place. It gives them utility, a reason to invest their time, and ultimately their trust.
So the design is the shell, but the content is everything inside.
It's the welcome mat, the instruction manual, and the sales team all rolled into one.
That distinction is so incredibly important because you're right. If someone lands on a beautifully designed page and just finds vague, generic fluff, they're gone.
In seconds.
In 3 seconds, yeah. Regardless of how fast the page loaded. So the sources, they detail a triple purpose for every single piece of writing. It's like a hierarchy of needs for the visitor. What are these three essential roles?
They're listed as informs, engages, and guides. And it's really critical that they're fulfilled in that specific order.
In that order. You can't skip ahead.
No. If you try to guide or sell before you inform, you fail. So let's start with the absolute base requirement. Content must inform. It has to answer the real, burning questions that the visitor actually has.
Okay, so they type something into Google.
Exactly. They typed in a question, they clicked your link, and your content has to be the accurate, relevant, and comprehensive answer they were looking for. If your content doesn't deliver the facts or the necessary knowledge, it's just useless noise.
So information is the bedrock, but just having facts isn't enough, right? I mean, especially online where the competition is just a click away.
Not at all. And that brings us to the next step, engagement.
Right.
Content needs to engage. This is where we move past just being a textbook summary. This is where you inject personality, maybe a story, and definitely clarity. It's not enough to be factually correct. You have to deliver that information in a way that makes people want to stay longer.
So it can't be dry.
If the information is delivered in a dull or, an overly complex academic way, the reader is going to feel burdened. They'll feel like it's work, and they will click away. Engagement is what ensures retention and starts to establish that personal connection.
And that connection leads to the ultimate goal. The reason most of us are online in the first place, which is the third point, guides. This is where the value translates into, well, results.
Precisely. This is the payoff, the conversion, the action. Good content has to lead visitors to take a desired, measurable action, whether that's subscribing to a newsletter, downloading a resource,
Or making a purchase, calling your team.
Exactly. If your content successfully informs and engages, but then just, leaves the reader hanging, not telling them what to do next, you've missed the whole point. You've missed that critical connection to your business or your mission. The content is the map that takes the reader from their initial curiosity all the way to a decisive action.
Okay, let's dig a little deeper on that guiding step. It sounds straightforward, just put a buy now button at the end. But I'm guessing there are subtleties to moving someone from just reading a helpful article to actually taking a step toward you.
Oh, absolutely. The guidance, it shouldn't feel coercive or pushy. It should feel like the logical next step in their journey.
Okay, give me an example.
So let's say you write a long, really helpful article informing the reader about the best practices for setting up a new e-commerce store. The right guiding action probably isn't a hard sell like, buy our platform now.
Right, that feels too aggressive.
It's too soon. A much better, softer call to action, or CTA, might be something like, download our free e-commerce setup checklist, or maybe book a free 15-minute consultation to discuss your store. The transition has to be seamless. Successful guiding means offering the right next step based on where the reader is in their decision-making process.
That makes perfect sense. It's about timing and relevance. And that whole journey from informing to guiding, it brings us right to the question of how we should sound. The sources really stress this critical decision of tone and finding an authentic voice.
This is where brand personality really comes into play.
Yeah.
And the main principle, as stated in the material, is beautifully simple. Clarity always beats complex vocabulary.
Always.
Always. You have to aim to write like you're speaking to a friend who is smart, but who needs this complex topic broken down for them.
Yeah.
The second you sound overly technical or too abstract or like a robot, you lose that human connection instantly.
And the source material gives us a great framework for this. It outlines 3 primary tone categories and when they're most effective.
It does. Let's start with the one that applies to, I think, most digital education and content. The friendly tone.
Okay.
This is best for education, for coaching, or really any situation where you're trying to simplify intimidating information. The example they give is, let's learn together.
I like that. It implies partnership.
Exactly. It's accessible. It reduces how difficult the subject feels, whether you're talking about AI or, starting a new workout routine.
So when do we need to shift gears? When do we need to be more formal?
That's the professional tone. This is reserved for those high-stakes fields where authority and certainty are absolutely paramount. So law, finance, specialized engineering, complex medical consulting.
Places where you can't afford to be wrong.
You can't. Here, the tone needs to convey competence and assurance. You're still guiding the client, but the language emphasizes security and reliability, not that informal companionship. So the tone shifts from, let's learn together, to something more like, our expert team guides you through compliance.
It's a totally different feeling. And the third category, the inspirational tone, that seems designed for an emotional connection.
It is. That tone is perfect for mission-driven organizations, nonprofits, community initiatives, or brands that are selling a transformation, not just a product. The language is all about evoking collective action, hope, and emotional investment. It's about moving people toward a cause.
Together, we can make a change.
That's the one. The key insight here is that the tone you choose has to directly align with the purpose of your content and the gravity of the subject matter.
And if that tone is inconsistent, you destroy the very thing the sources say is the most valuable currency online.
Right.
Trust. It all connects back to this coach's insight they mentioned.
Which is so important. The best content should sound like a friend who cares and knows what they're talking about. Not a machine, and definitely not a pushy salesperson.
That insight really is the core of digital credibility, isn't it? Trust is just instantly established or lost through your voice.
Instantly. If your finance website suddenly starts using slang and emojis, or if your fun educational platform uses impenetrable legal jargon, that disconnect, that cognitive dissonance, it immediately signals that something is off.
The reader thinks, wait, did these people actually know what they're doing?
Or are they just trying too hard? Authenticity in your tone is absolutely non-negotiable for capturing that heart and for making sure the reader actually believes the guidance you provide in that final step.
So we've established the why and the how-to sound. Now let's look at structure. If tone captures the heart, structure is what ensures the message is actually delivered efficiently. In this next segment, we need to focus on the architectural blueprint of web copy, the framework that organizes the entire conversation.
This is where we get incredibly practical.
Yeah.
Once you've defined your voice, you need a framework to make sure your message gets across because, like we said, people scan. They don't read word for word online.
Right, and our sources walk us through what they call the 4 essential building blocks. They treat content like a vertical ladder, where each step is like a mini persuasion funnel happening on every single piece of content you create.
And they are. Headline, hook, body, and call to action, or CTA. This is the mandatory sequence for guiding that hurried digital visitor.
Okay, step 1, the headline. This is the non-negotiable attention grabber. If the headline fails, the rest of the content, it just doesn't matter. It remains unread.
It has to stop the scroll, yes. It must grab attention instantly and promise a clear, desirable benefit. But a good headline is only half the battle. Then comes the hook.
The hook.
This is a single line, or maybe very short introductory paragraph, right after the headline, and it has to promise specific, maybe time-bound, or easy-to-digest value. The headline opens the door, the hook invites them to come in and sit down for a moment.
Which leads us to the body, the detailed part of the conversation. But here's where I have a question. If visitors only scan for 3 seconds, isn't the body section, the detailed story or instructions, isn't it almost irrelevant? How do we make sure they actually read the detail?
That is a fantastic and fundamental question for modern web writing. You're absolutely right that most visitors scan. But the body is not irrelevant, it's the proof of promise.
The proof of promise, okay.
The body section exists to support the claim you made in the headline and the hook. You don't read it immediately, you scan the headings and the bolds first to confirm the topic. And if those standpoints validate your promise, then you settle in to read the body for the depth and the nuance. It's the engine room that provides the clear information and the story that backs up your credibility.
I see. So the architecture of the body, using subheadings and bolding, that's what pulls the scanner into becoming a reader. And finally, we wrap it all up with the call to action, the CTA.
The explicit instruction. You've informed, you've engaged, you've proven your competence in the body. Now you tell them exactly what to do next to continue this journey with you. Never, ever assume the reader knows the next step.
Let's use that concrete AI learning example from the source material to show just how tight this architecture needs to be.
It's a perfect illustration of the efficiency you need online. It goes like this.
Headline: Learn AI the easy way. Okay, that's a powerful promise. It says simplicity, it says accessibility.
Then the hook. Join our free 10-minute daily lessons. That is the specific value proposition. It's free, and the required commitment, just 10 minutes, is so minimal that massively lowers the barrier to entry.
Then the body. Created by teachers who believe anyone can learn AI. This provides that essential proof and trust factor. It validates the user's belief that they can actually do this.
And finally, the CTA. Start today. Direct, unambiguous, and immediate. That entire structure is a masterclass in condensed persuasion. It just shows how quickly you have to guide a visitor from curiosity to conversion.
That tight structure, it's not just about sales, is it? It's about respecting the reader's time. And it connects directly to that 3-second rule you mentioned. Visitors decide to stay or leave in 3 seconds, which makes formatting an absolute imperative for readability.
The 3-second rule is brutal, but it dictates all of our formatting decisions. People online just do not read dense blocks of prose. They're visually parsing the page for relevant information. If they land on a dense wall of text, their brain instantly flags it as high-effort reading, and they're gone. So readability is all about making the text physically easy to consume.
Which brings us to the crucial readability checklist from the sources. What are the specific formatting rules, beyond just simple font size, that are required to maximize retention for the modern scanner?
So the checklist is really designed to break up cognitive load and provide clear visual signposts for the reader. First, we need headings every 3 to 4 paragraphs.
So like road signs?
Exactly. They are your navigation points. They allow the reader to jump straight to the section that answers their specific question. If you have 10 paragraphs just discussing a complex topic without a single subheading, the reader's going to feel lost and overwhelmed.
Second on the list is the ubiquitous but maybe underappreciated use of bullet points for lists.
Bullet points are absolutely critical for instant scanning. They instantly signal that the following items are of equal importance and can be quickly digested without the effort of reading full sentences. The contrast is night and day. Scanning a dense list that's woven into a paragraph takes 3 times the effort of just glancing at a bulleted list.
Okay, and then there's the rule that sounds deceptively simple, but I know it requires a lot of discipline. 1 idea per sentence.
This is the foundation of clarity. It directly addresses what's called cognitive load. Cognitive load is just the amount of mental effort required to process information. When we try to cram multiple clauses, dependent phrases, or complex secondary ideas into one long sentence,
You're forcing the reader to work too hard.
you're forcing them to hold multiple concepts in their short-term memory all at once. It's exhausting.
Can you give us an example of how that complexity creeps in and how we can fix it?
Sure. Think about a sentence like this. Although the new marketing strategy was successful in increasing initial user adoption, which was a primary goal set by the executive team, we must now pivot to focus on retention metrics, specifically because the churn rate has increased significantly due to onboarding friction.
Wow. Yeah, that's exhausting just listening to it. My brain is already tired.
Exactly. It's one massive chunk of an idea. We can reduce that cognitive load dramatically just by separating it. The new marketing strategy successfully increased user adoption, period. However, the executive team observed a significant increase in the churn rate, period.
Much clearer already.
We must now pivot to focus on retention metrics. This increase is specifically due to onboarding friction. 4 simple sentences. Each one delivers a single, clear thought. This forces the writer to be clear, and it ensures the reader processes the information effortlessly.
And finally, we need to consider how to optimize for both the human scanner and the algorithm, highlighting keywords in bold.
Bolding serves a critical dual function. For the human reader, it immediately draws the eye to the most critical concepts, reinforcing the main points, even if they only skim the page. And for SEO, which is always in the background, it subtly signals to the search engines which words are most important on the page. Using bolding, headings, and bullet points isn't just decoration. It's a necessary function for effective, low-effort digital communication.
Speaking of efficiency and low-effort drafting, this is the perfect pivot to the biggest game changer in modern content creation, AI. It's no longer just about writing, it's about writing faster and letting technology handle that initial mechanical lift. Let's analyze the role of modern AI tools in this whole process.
The key realization, drawn straight from the sources, is that AI is a catalyst, not a replacement. It accelerates the workflow dramatically by handling the heavy lifting of the first draft, the outlining, the grammar checks.
It gives you the quantity.
It gives you the quantity you need for digital visibility. But, and this is the absolute critical distinction, the final voice, the originality, and the domain-specific expertise must still come from the human. The content needs to sound warm, honest, and helpful, and AI, well, it struggles with that final 20% of authentic voice.
That's a great way to put it. AI is like a sophisticated assistant that speeds up the mechanical flows, which frees up the human writer to focus on quality, originality, and injecting those unique little nuggets of insight that only a human expert actually possesses.
Exactly.
So what specific, often free-tier tools are essential for this modern workflow, according to our sources?
We can break them down by their function.
Yeah.
For generating ideas and drafting that foundational structure, you have the large language models like ChatGPT or Claude. These are your primary brainstorming partners. They can outline a full article or generate a dozen title ideas in, seconds.
Okay, so you have your draft. Then you need the tools for refining, polishing, and checking for all those little mechanical errors.
Yes. And for ensuring that mechanical polish and catching those basic errors that just erode your credibility, Grammarly is essential. It also offers suggestions on tone, which helps you bridge the gap between the AI's first draft and your intended brand voice.
What if you have text that just sounds awkward?
If you have existing text that sounds wordy or just clunky, the sources recommend Quillbot or WordTune. These are invaluable for quickly rephrasing text to improve clarity and flow, ensuring you meet that one idea per sentence readability standard without, sacrificing the core meaning.
And finally, what about integrating text with the visual world?
That's where Canva Magic Write comes in. It's designed specifically for creating short, punchy captions and text tailored for visuals, Instagram posts, social banners, or those short website blurbs. This whole tool stack ensures that you are efficient at every single stage, from idea generation all the way to publication across multiple platforms.
The most challenging part of content creation, even for experts, is often just getting started, that blank page syndrome. How does the source material suggest we use AI to kickstart the brainstorming process effectively so we move past just generic suggestions?
The secret is in highly specific, targeted prompting. If you ask for generic ideas, you're going to get generic results. You need to be explicit about your audience, your subject matter, and even your constraints. The sources provide an excellent template for this specificity. Give me 10 topic ideas for a website about digital learning for kids in Pakistan.
Okay. So by specifying the audience, kids, the subject, digital learning, and the location, Pakistan, you're immediately guiding the AI to give you highly relevant, localized results that are much more likely to resonate with that target market.
Precisely. The results that are mentioned in the sources, things like fun AI experiments for kids for under $10 or how Pakistani parents can start coding at home, these are immediate, high-quality, and tailored ideas. The key is that the human's job is then reduced to just picking the best one or two ideas and using them as the foundation to expand on.
So you inject your own human voice, your original research, your lived experience.
Exactly. You're starting your writing process at maybe 80% completion instead of staring at that blinking cursor at 0%.
That is a massive efficiency boost. But let's go a bit deeper on this. For our sophisticated listener, how can we use AI to make sure the content doesn't sound too generic? Because that's the real risk of relying too heavily on that first draft.
That's a fantastic point. It addresses the primary functional risk of AI, which is homogenized output. Everything starts to sound the same. To combat this, you need to use what's called persona-based prompting.
Persona-based prompting. Okay.
Instead of just saying, write an article, you prime the AI. You define the writer's identity, and you define the audience's pain points before you even ask for the content.
So instead of a neutral prompt, we're basically adding a character to it.
Exactly. For example, act as a seasoned, slightly witty college application coach from Lahore. Write a hook for an article aimed at parents who are terrified of the FSA process. Maintain a reassuring, professional, but friendly tone.
Wow, that's incredibly specific.
And by defining that persona and the required tone, you force the AI to produce a draft that is already much, much closer to your intended brand voice. It reduces the amount of human editing required to make it sound authentic and less like, a Wikipedia summary.
That level of prompting, it moves the output from just a draft to near final polish. We can tie this directly into the About Us page practice task that the sources suggest, which is really the ultimate test of finding your voice and applying this new workflow.
The About Us page is so challenging because it has to be personal, trustworthy, and still optimized for search. The practice zone they suggest is a perfect real-world application. It breaks down into this iterative process.
Walk us through it.
First, you're prompting AI to get the draft. For instance, write an About Us page for a website that teaches AI skills to students in simple language, using an inspirational tone that emphasizes community growth. Second, you're polishing with Grammarly or Quillbot to ensure the flow is human and the claims are clear. And third, the crucial step.
You add the keywords.
You add the specific domain-relevant keywords like AI education for beginners Pakistan or accessible digital learning skills to ensure the page is optimized before it ever goes live.
That seamless integration of drafting, editing, and early optimization, it shows how AI acts less like a co-writer and more like a high-speed assembly line for high-quality content.
And that efficiency leads us directly to the final and perhaps most essential goal of all this, ensuring that this great content is actually discovered, which means we have to decode the mysterious world of SEO.
SEO, the topic that makes so many people feel like they need a degree in computer science just to understand it. We need to simplify it completely, starting with the definition. How does the source material define search engine optimization in the simplest possible terms?
The definition is incredibly straightforward, and we really need to stick to it. SEO just means helping Google understand your website. That's it.
That's it.
It's not technical wizardry. It's about structure and language keywords. You are leaving clear, compelling breadcrumbs for the search engine to follow so it can correctly categorize and rank your page when someone asks a relevant question. If Google can't understand what you do, it can't recommend you.
So if SEO is all about structure and language, the sources boil this down to 3 essential keys for effective optimization. What are these core components?
They are keywords, meta tags, and links.
Okay, let's start with keywords. This is the language of search itself.
Right. Keywords are simply the exact words or phrases people type into the search bar. But we need to move beyond just the simple, obvious keywords like AI course. We need to focus on what are called long-tail keywords.
Long tail. Explain that.
These are highly specific, lower competition phrases that reflect exactly what a person is looking for. So, for example, instead of a broad keyword like gardening, a long-tail keyword is how to grow tomatoes in a small balcony using organic soil in London.
Wow, that's specific.
It is. But these highly specific phrases are where most organic traffic actually lives, and they signal very high intent. The person searching for that knows exactly what they want.
That shift from broad terms to specific phrases is such a crucial technical nugget for our listener. Okay, next, meta tags. These often feel the most technical, but they're defined here as the hidden descriptions that Google reads.
They're essentially the elevator pitch for your page that appears in the search results. There are two main types, the meta title and the meta description. The meta title is that big blue clickable link you see in the search results. It is crucial that your primary keyword is in there.
In the description.
The meta description is the small paragraph underneath. Google reads both of these to summarize what the page contains, and critically, the quality and clarity of your meta description directly influences whether a user clicks on your link, even if you only rank number 3 or 4. A compelling meta description, kept under 160 characters, boosts your click-through rate, your CTR.
So even if Google ranks you highly, a poor meta description can fail that guiding step before the user even reaches your site.
Exactly. It's a massive point of failure if that little snippet is weak or gets cut off.
Yeah.
And finally, we have links. Links are Google's way of measuring relevance and, critically, authority. When you link internally to other relevant pages on your own site, you show Google the structure and the depth of your expertise. But more importantly, when other high-quality, authoritative websites like major universities, respected news sources, or industry bodies link to your page, it acts as a strong vote of confidence.
So not all links are created equal.
Not at all. That's why one link from a major reputable university is worth more to your authority than 10 links from random, unvetted blogs. It is all about link quality, not just quantity.
That distinction between high authority and low authority links is exactly the kind of valuable insight we need to pull out of the sources. But how do we find these long-tail, high-intent keywords in the first place without needing to buy expensive software?
You can start with some free, highly effective tools. The source material suggests tools like Google Trends, which shows you the popularity of search terms over time and helps you spot emerging demand.
What else?
There's Answer the Public, which visually reveals the exact questions and prepositions people are asking around a topic, the whys, hows, and whats. And then there are general tools like Uber Suggest that can give you keyword suggestions and difficulty ratings.
So the process is to search for your broad topic, say, AI learning website Pakistan, and then use these tools to drill down and find the exact long-tail phrases that have high interest but lower competition.
And once again, you can harness AI here. You can use it as a massive linguistic aggregator. Just like AI helped us brainstorm content ideas, it can help us brainstorm the language of search. The prompt example provided is, list 10 beginner-friendly long-tail keywords for a website that teaches AI tools, assuming the user is located in a developing market.
So you're forcing the AI to simulate highly localized search queries that your specific target audience beginners in a specific economic context are actually typing.
Exactly. It's a powerful blend of human strategy and AI efficiency.
But we have to address the elephant in the room when we're talking about keywords. The temptation to write primarily for the algorithm, which leads to that age-old mistake of keyword stuffing.
Yes, this brings us to the critical concept of balancing robots and readers. Modern SEO is fundamentally different from what it was 10 years ago. The algorithms have become incredibly sophisticated at detecting intent and quality. The old mistake was indeed stuffing keywords repeatedly, cramming the keyword into every sentence, even if the result was just unreadable nonsense that made a human wince.
Oh, we've all seen those awful blocks of text. The content was technically optimized, but it was just impossible to read.
Right. The modern, better approach is to use keywords naturally within sentences, prioritizing the reader experience above all else. The sources stress that the focus must be on writing for humans first. If the content is genuinely helpful, comprehensive, and clearly written, ticking all those readability boxes we discussed, the relevant keywords will appear naturally throughout the text.
And Google rewards that quality now.
It does. The algorithm is now smart enough to recognize synonyms and topical relevance, not just exact phrase repetition.
Let's use the sharp comparison example from the sources to illustrate this failure and success perfectly.
Okay, the failure example, the old SEO mistake. It looks like this, trying to hit the keyword AI school. Our AI school teaches AI tools and AI coding for AI students at our local AI school in the city.
Ugh, it sounds desperate and unprofessional.
It does. Now, the success example, written for humans but still optimized. Learn the latest machine learning tools through friendly daily lessons. Our mission is to make complex technology accessible to every student, empowering the next generation of coders.
It's night and day. The second example still uses the core concepts, learning, tools, students, coding, but it delivers them with a human voice, a mission, and a promise of value.
And that ties into the best rule of thumb offered in the sources. If a 10-year-old can read it comfortably, Google will love it too. Clarity and simplicity are now the ultimate metrics that win.
That principle of clarity leads us seamlessly into our final segment, focusing on the visual presentation and the essential practical checklist we need to run through before we click publish.
Visuals are absolutely non-negotiable. They provide a necessary, engaging pause in the text, and they reinforce the message instantly. They speak when words pause. And just as AI revolutionized text, it is now revolutionizing image generation.
So we can move beyond generic stock photos.
Exactly. We can move beyond relying on those impersonal and often culturally irrelevant stock photos.
And our sources highlight the importance of authenticity here. The coach's tip is a great little nugget. One authentic photo of you or your team builds more trust than 10 generic stock images that look like they were pulled from a catalog.
That's because trust is built on transparency. And if you must use illustrations or hero images, use AI to generate original content that specifically reflects your brand and your context. This ensures consistency and helps you avoid that visual generic trap.
So what are the specific AI tools recommended for generating these personalized, authentic visuals that actually align with the content?
The material lists 3 keys. Leonardo AI is excellent for generating custom hero images and illustrations. You can use prompts like, create a friendly robot, teaching students in a futuristic classroom setting, styled like a comic book.
And that gives you unique, on-brand imagery that no one else has.
Right. Then there's Microsoft Designer, which is tailored for quick creation of social banners and ads, perfect for posters announcing a new course launch or event.
And a familiar tool, Canva, is also recommended for visuals.
Yes, Canva is superb for generating visually appealing infographics and, quote, graphics, which are essential for sharing weekly learning tips or breaking down complex data visually. Using these tools allows you to maintain consistency in your visual branding while ensuring originality and reducing the need for an expensive full-time graphic designer.
Okay, so once the content is drafted, edited, optimized, and visually supported, we need a final check. The SEO consistency checklist. Why is consistency flagged here as being more important than perfection?
Because digital success is a marathon, not a sprint. It's built on the momentum of regularly publishing good enough content that reliably follows best practices. It's not built on a single, flawless piece of content you spent 6 months on.
Perfection leads to paralysis.
Exactly. Consistency leads to ranking. The checklist just ensures you hit the minimum requirements every single time you publish.
Let's walk through the required steps on that pre-publishing checklist and explain the why behind each one, starting with keywords.
First, confirm that your keyword is in the title and the first paragraph. This is the highest leverage step. It immediately signals relevance to both the reader and to Google. If you can't manage that, Google's going to struggle to categorize the page.
Second, the length constraint for that hidden description. Ensure your meta description is under 160 characters.
This is crucial for maximum visibility. 160 characters is the typical limit for how much text Google displays in the search results snippet. If you go over that, your compelling call to action at the end of the description gets cut off, and that kills your potential click-through rate. You have to be punchy and precise.
Next, addressing both accessibility and deeper SEO signals. Images must have alt text.
Alt text is a description of the image for visually impaired users, which is its primary purpose. But for SEO, it provides another critical opportunity for Google to understand the context of the page, especially if you include a relevant non-stuffed keyword in there.
So if you have an image of a robot.
The alt text could be illustration of a friendly robot teaching AI skills to children. It adds semantic meaning to the page.
And the final 2 steps focus on user flow and site structure.
Exactly. You need at least one internal link to another relevant page on your website. This is vital for 2 reasons. It keeps users engaged on your site, which reduces your bounce rate, and it helps Google map your site's hierarchy, transferring what's called link equity to other valuable pages. And finally, tying back to segment 2, the last item is simply ensuring you have readable sentences.
Which you should have already done.
Right. If you followed the rules of one idea per sentence, used headings, and broke up the text, this box is already checked.
That checklist is the non-negotiable gatekeeper before you press publish. To illustrate just how powerfully effective this simple process can be, the sources close with the short, inspiring anecdote of Fatima's blog journey.
Yeah, Fatima was a college student who wanted to start a blog about study habits, specifically targeted at her peers. She didn't have an SEO budget. She didn't have expensive tools. She just had consistency and the blueprint we've been discussing.
And she applied this exact workflow we've laid out.
She did. She used the AI toolkit ChatGPT for generating article outlines and first drafts, Grammarly for editing, and Canva for simple personalized images. But the key was the SEO application. She deliberately added long-tail keywords that were relevant to her audience. Phrases like study motivation for students Pakistan and university exam tips for Karachi students.
And the result was remarkably fast, relative success.
Within a month, her clearly written, helpful, and properly structured articles started appearing in Google search results. And it's because she wasn't competing with massive media outlets. She was winning the race for those long-tail, hyper-specific queries.
And that success led to real results.
It led directly to traffic, and subsequently she was able to monetize the site through ads and small sponsorships tailored to her audience. Her secret was not technical genius. It was simply applying the straightforward blueprint we've covered: consistency and clear, helpful writing.
That is the ultimate proof point, isn't it? This isn't abstract theory. It's a practical roadmap to digital visibility and even measurable income, all built on the simple principle of being genuinely helpful to the user.
And this brings us back to the final piece of the puzzle, the overall lesson learned from this entire deep dive.
The key takeaway is simple. We've been given the tools to ensure our content is not just visible, but trusted through a balance of human voice and AI efficiency.
We've covered 5 major connected concepts today. Content, the information and stories that must inform, engage, and guide. SEO, the strategy for helping Google and people find you easily. Keywords, those search phrases your audience actually uses, especially the long-tail ones. Meta tags, the hidden labels that accurately describe each page and boost your click-through rate. And finally, the efficiency of AI writing tools that accelerate drafting while demanding human oversight for quality.
This entire framework is designed to help you build that authentic, trustworthy presence. As the sources remind us, good content isn't about being perfect. It's about being helpful.
And that helpfulness really starts with introspection about your brand voice. Before you write your next page, we invite you, the learner, to use the reflection box provided in the source material and spend some time defining your core identity with these 3 questions.
1. The emotion I want people to feel when they read my site is hissed.
2. The most important single message I want to share is hiss.
And 3. The phrase that defines my brand voice, whether it's a friendly authority or witty guide, is...
Answering those 3 questions forces you to define your tone and your purpose before you even touch a keyboard or an AI drafting tool. That human input is what makes the content powerful and prevents the AI from just making it generic.
This deep dive has laid the groundwork for turning those helpful words into a structure that both people and algorithms can appreciate. The real challenge now is maintaining that human helpful voice while fully embracing the efficiency of AI. Don't let the ease of output overshadow the necessity of originality.
And as the sources remind us, the ultimate next step in this digital journey is bringing all these carefully crafted words to life, turning them into an interactive functional website using the building blocks of HTML, CSS, and AI-generated design. The writing is done. Now it's time to build the engine room.
That's a deep dive for another day. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, stay curious and keep it simple.